Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of C-Suite, a CEO Chat. And yes, I am your host, Shawanna Kennedy. I'm excited because today I am joined by a Emmy-nominated TV producer. This young lady is a digital content pioneer. She is an educator, she is a mentor, and she also is the founder of the Deborah Mitchell Media and Associates. So I'm excited. I'm not going to delay because anybody to know anything about Kennedy Media, where we get to help you be seen, be heard, and increase the video visibility in your life. I'm excited about this conversation because I want to bring her in because I already told her, before our little chat before the show, I came with sponges on my butt cheeks because I came to soak up the information. So I hope you are like me. So help me welcome in Miss Deborah to this conversation. Hey, 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 and welcome to the C-Suite. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited. I'm glad that you paused for the calls in your day away from your busy schedule to have a C-Suite conversation. I said for me because it is what I get to do by helping people to be seen and be heard and then be known, right? And let's be honest, in the business that we're in, it's even ultimately nobody likes to talk about it, but even be paid because if they don't know, like, and trust, they're not going to buy what it is that you're selling. So having the digital content conversation today, I'm excited. I'm excited, y'all. Y'all get to get a sneak peek in because this CEO conversation may be just for me and you just looking over my shoulder, right? Right. Miss Deborah, let's get into it. Let's get into it. What made you even want to take this as a part of your career and go down this path of being a television producer?
Well, I'm a television producer. I fell in love with TV very young. I started in traditional broadcast television before I graduated college. So an internship turned into the love of TV, and then I worked in several different type genres, I should say, from talk show producing to news producing. So I've just been in television my entire career. As far as the pivot into the digital space during the pandemic, when everybody else was pivoting, I was pivoting too. So, I looked at we were all on Zoom and I was looking at it and I said, wait a minute, there's got to be a way to make this a little bit more interesting for people. And I just found the tools, the online tools, and then I used my TV skills and I came up with digital video marketing and digital producing. And so that's how I came to be in this space. Thank you to the pandemic. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what? Even though it did, there was a lot of loss there, but God
Mm-hmm.
also made a way for people to be blessed. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe I'm a believer. So in being a woman of faith, I know that even when it don't look or even feel good, He is still making it all work for our good. I believe, even for me, even though in business and what I think about being a CEO,
Mm-hmm.
yes, the pandemic kind of made it where it wasn't that it wasn't something that I wasn't always doing. It made it become more of a forward facing something that I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know you, they don't know you. And so, with you having the expertise from both sides of the spectrum, that's what makes this so yummy today. Uh, what do you think is some of the things when someone particularly may have to transition from traditional television and things like that to then saying, no, you need to, the importance of embracing this digital space? How do you have that conversation?
Well, you know what? I think the pandemic was helpful in showing people that you can actually live your life online. Originally, before 2020, when I would talk about, because I thought social media and all the platforms were so fascinating. I thought they were tools that would allow us to communicate in different ways. And there were some people who were still resistant to it, especially journalists who came from my traditional background. We were taught not to share information, to be objective, don't put yourself in the story. So social media turned it on its head. You were required to share. So I know that there were several people, producers, who were very reluctant to do that. So when the lockdown happened and we all had to be online, people were forced to learn it. They were forced to learn to understand how the online space worked. Zoom became their safe space, or they had to get comfortable in, I should say. And like I said, they realized that I can work from home. Things can happen. I can use the online space. So my conversation is a lot different now after the pandemic, because before it was trying to convince people, yes, you can do it. Now it's okay, you can do it, and you want to do it responsibly, effectively, and it can show them how it can benefit their business and themselves.
So with that, I love what you're saying, and that sounds good to someone like me. What has been, when we talk about being a CEO and this being what you get to do, is to now say, okay, yeah, you might have did it for a meeting at work, but then you're also a business owner. And I
Mhm.
need you now to make the focus where you're the person on camera. It's not just you in a crowded space and you may or may not have to come off camera for a meeting. How is
Mhm.
that those challenges have been for you when you think about you as a CEO and a perhaps a client, where you're like, no, these are the things that we need to do strategically to help bring you more visibility? What type of challenges have you seen as it relates to that?
As far as the street, I always say you have to have a plan, a strategy, and then the execution. And before you can get to any of those, I think that people have to feel comfortable on camera. And not everybody, that's a big challenge. The first thing people say is, "Oh, I can't do it. I can't be on camera. I just can't do it." So before I can get them to understand why it's important for their business, I have to let them know that they are capable. And, most of the time, it does take practice. You do maybe have to um, you have your false starts, and don't get preoccupied with being perfect on camera. It's really about the message. So it's me talking people through the comfort factor. And once they get comfortable, then I start talking to them more about content and what they need to be putting out there on a consistent, and I say be consistent and persistent basis. And it's the messaging, because your audience is going to love you for your messaging, what you're saying. They're not necessarily concerned with, oh, you don't look a certain way. It's more what you're saying. So I get people to really understand that. And of course, you want to look good. You want to have good lighting. I tell them it's important to have good audio. People will put up with bad video, but not bad audio. So, there are little TV tips that I give them along the way, but it's really the comfort factor. I think people just need to realize that they don't have to be perfect on camera. They just have to get comfortable doing it. That comes with practice, and just do it. And that's the main thing that I find myself telling people.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. How do you use, when I think about those thoughts and once they're comfortable, how do you use storytelling to allow them? Yeah, we know that that's a big one. That is a big one. When I think about storytelling, how do you help your clients to understand the importance of a story, even if it's not their own? And that's the thing that I've had to debunk. It's not necessarily where you have to do the whole TMI information where you're telling all of your guts. It's
Mhm.
more or less of being able to tie in the perfect story to what it is that is connected and can give relevance to your messaging. How do you
Mhm.
help your clients and people that could be onlookers to understanding the importance of a good story?
First, I talk to them about knowing their audience. So, who are they targeting? Who's the audience that they're targeting? And what you want to determine what kind of story that you're going to tell. I work with clients to help their audience go through the sales funnel. I was talking to you about this the other day. Every business or individual has a sales funnel type. So you're starting with, and they call it a sales funnel because it's like in a V shape. So you're starting at the top where people are getting to, that's the awareness phase at the beginning, where they don't know who you are. So you're introducing yourself to them. So you're trying to figure out, what kind of story can I tell them to introduce them to me? And so I'm trying to help clients understand that there is a theme to the story. So the awareness phase, Again, it's the getting to know you. So know your business, know you as an individual, tell those type of stories. Then you have the next phase where it's the consideration stage, where people are like, okay, I kind of know Debbie and Shawanna, but I really don't know a lot. I want to know a little bit more. So you're giving them a little bit more. Or you might have a friend tape a video that how they know you. So you're creating this kind of a familiarity through the video storytelling. So you're always thinking of the theme of what the story is, and there are different lengths of the video and how you tell the story. So that's something that I work with people in doing too, figuring out the best length of the video that they should use, the best theme to the story, and their special sauce. That's what I like to say. What makes your particular brand or business special? So that comes through in the storytelling. And again, that's something else that comes with practice. Some people say that they're not good writers, they couldn't tell a story. If that's the case, then that's where someone like you or I come in. We would work with you to help you come up with the story that you can tell. And even if you don't work with us through the entire time, we will help you, we'll guide you and get you on your way. But I say everybody has a story to tell. People worry about running. You can never run out of content. There's always something to tell, whether it's your personal story or something you see in the news and you somehow make it, or not make it, but you see how your business or your expertise might tie into that story. That's how you come up with content. But you never run out of content. There's always a story to tell.
Yeah, I love it. And that, again, that's the truth. When I think about how it can sometimes be challenging and working with people to help them be okay, because we all have something, not only just the story to tell, but we also have something that somebody else needs to hear, to help them, to show them that it can be done. It can be done. And if they don't know you, they don't know you. And we have to be okay, because it's really the question I often ask. Of course, we know in everything, it starts with the mindset. If you have already counted yourself out, then you're definitely not going to do it. You're not going to want to go on camera. And it's trying to figure out what is that best way. One of the things when I think about conquering that, is when we think about strategy, if we're just leaning in as CEOs and talking about strategy, some of that is the saying, what can you do to kind of ease yourself even into coming from behind the scenes and showing up on screen? What are some of the ways that you can navigate that space to help kind of, tippy toe in there? And so I know sometimes it can be a bit ugly, especially for people who are introverts. I know working with introverts, working with people who are not even necessarily introvert, but they're still somewhat shy, but their message is so powerful. Their story is so big. It is, how do you get them, and what kind of conversation do you kind of have when you lean in to say your why with the message has to be bigger than you, not when with you being afraid to turn on a camera? What kind of conversation is that?
It's funny you should talk about this, because I just had a situation where I booked a chef on a local program, and it would be her first television. It was her first television interview. And I did a pre-interview with her. I talked to her, did some media training. She was so nervous. And sometimes, I mean, she's a great chef. But some people just get lost in their nerves, and you have to understand. I have to respect that, because some people may be able to get over it. Others just maybe takes a little bit of time. So that's where the practice comes in. So what I do is I tell them, again, when you're alone and you're practicing, that's one thing. But get before a small group of people, test it out, practice. It's not something that you want to just get in front of be interviewed in front of a host cold, and you're nervous. You got to practice. So put yourselves in the situations beforehand. They tell you don't buy new shoes to wear to an event and wear it the first time. That's the same thing with an interview. Don't practice. Get ahead of it and practice. But sometimes your nerves do get the better of you. One of my favorite stories is when I was on the national show. There was an author who called me all the time. She'd never been on television, and she wanted to be on air. And I booked her during the holidays. I said, okay, because it's a slower time during the holidays. And I could hear the nerves on the phone the day before, but she said, "Oh, I'll be fine. I'll be fine." And she showed up that morning, and I went up to her to say hello, and I smelled a little alcohol.
Mm.
I said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Well, I had a little toothaches. I had a little something to." I was like, and she was slurring her words. I was like, "Oh my god!" So I think the nerves got the better of her, and I had to go to the anchor and make the anchor aware and say,
Mm.
"You know what? This is what's going on." But yeah, the nerves got the better of her. So I say, don't drink before your interview, but definitely practice. And so, yes, some people will be okay with it because your mind is moving very fast and you're
Yeah.
aware of the time and what you have to say. So, of course, it's natural, I think, to just get jumbled and a little confused. So, practice speaking slowly. Practice using smaller, shorter words, shorter sentences. Um, Give yourself a pause if you find yourself getting confused. It allows you to just breathe a little bit and think about what you have to say.
I love it. I love it. Y'all already know if this is not the episode where you're saying I was thinking about it, I was watching it because I knew that Shawanna and Deborah was going to be in a conversation today. These are some things and some tips that you should be listening to and paying attention to and start putting practice to. We'll be right back with more conversation with Deborah Mitchell. This episode is brought to you by Kennedy Media, your ultimate partner in content creation, video recording, and digital marketing. Be seen, be heard, and increase visibility in your business. Contact us today at KennedyMediaLLC.com, KennedyMediaLLC.com, and unlock your brand's full potential. Welcome back to C-Suite, a CEO Chat. I'm Shawanna Kennedy, your host, and today I am joined by the lovely Deborah Mitchell. She is a nominated TV producer, Emmy-nominated TV producer, and she is a digital content pioneer. She's a mentor. She's a coach. She does a number of things, and I'm excited to have this conversation because I understand the highs and the lows, the happy and the sad, as it relates to this digital space when we are working with individuals and helping them to understand that we need your message. So if you're looking, you're listening, and you're leaning in, and you're saying, I do have a story. There are some things that I'm doing that more people need to know about. Someone is waiting on you. So I'm going to say that. So I'm talking to you. Someone is waiting on you and what you have to say. They need the product that you produce. So this is your opportunity to say, is she talking about me? Is she talking to me? Yes, I am. And today I have someone that is what her resume is extensive and helping you to understand the importance and the things you need to do to even get started. We're going to have those little shivers and things because for me, what I noticed too is even if we're not doing it for some time, we have to shake the dust off, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's natural, it's normal when you're not doing something regularly or have never done it at all. But there's nothing to it, like they say, well, there's nothing to it but to do it. And of course, to do it, like you were mentioning, practice makes us better, right? Because we're going to always find something that we can nitpick, but we can always get better. And you can only get better by doing it. When I think about what you get to do in this space, and when we talk about mastering the digital stage, what is another even piece of advice, though, if you had to lean into a person and say they haven't even gotten on camera yet, they haven't even taken the plunge to say, I want to talk to Deborah, I want to talk to Shawanna, or someone that can really help them move the needle. What would you say to that person right now? What would you say?
I would say know your why. Why? Understand the why. Why does digital benefit you? And I think that people forget that digital is video content that lives online forever. It's there for anyone, anytime, 24/7. So it is a way for your brand to get exposure. It's brand awareness. And it's free. Once you put it up there, you're not paying for it again. So it's as though you're having a free sales team putting the message out about your brand and you as a thought leader. So people need to realize that it's great advertisement. And so it's important to use it in the best way possible. And that includes valuable content that has a point, that has structure, that gives good information, and with your keeping your target audience in mind.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You hear that? It is really great when you have even having the right people surrounding you. So we
Hmm.
have to even talk about as a CEO and having a team. When you lean into the team, what is some of the things that you have seen as a high and a low now that you've made this turn? You're now navigating in these different waters. How is that? How has that been challenging with you for you as a CEO now on this side of it? What does that look like for you?
That's a great question because I am learning so much. I have interviewed entrepreneurs, business owners over the years, and there is nothing like living in that space. I am learning every single day. You know, as a producer working for somebody else, certain things are just taken care of. I just have to be creative, come up with the ideas. Somebody else is shooting it, someone else has the audio, someone is edit. It is so much more to think about. So I'm thinking about not only my client, getting the client, I'm thinking about marketing myself as a brand, marketing the client, the operations of running a team. And I do believe in having smaller teams. I like small teams, and I believe that small teams can be just as effective as a big team if everybody knows what they're supposed to do and do it. So I like lean and mean. That you get so much, you can get so much accomplished with a team that is actually on the same page. And I'm learning to be a better manager because I'm not a micromanager, never been. I figure if you know what you're going to do, you're supposed to do, you'll do it. But I've learned that you really have to stay on top of everything because everybody works differently. No two people are alike, and
Yeah.
nobody's going to be me and work like me. So I have to really help my team set my expectations and help my team to understand and grow and to deliver what I need them to. And communication is key. I believe in structure and framework and yeah, it and no one can read my mind. So I really have to tell them what is going on. So
Yes.
I'm learning. Yeah, I really am. It's in the end, and it's in the end, my name is on the brand. So I really have to make sure, we all have to make sure that things go out correctly and that we're well represented. Our team members are the ambassadors for our brand, so it's
Yeah.
important that we stay on top of it.
That is the truth today. That is the truth today. When you think about, because I love how you said the lean, lean. And it is because one, those people really get to know and understand you. I know in doing the work, I have to then switch hats, right? We do multiple jobs, but I switch hats. So when I'm working with that person or on some of their assets, as they call the things that we see around us, it's going into that world and being that person, like taking on the mind of Deborah. How would Deborah do it? How would Deborah like it? And sometimes I know that I've had to, when I think about being a CEO in this space, I know everybody is not me. So I then have to not only grant myself some grace, but grant them some space, some space and grace while they are learning and learning the way that I would like it. So I know those are definitely some challenges, even with a small team versus a large team. And then also, then there are doers and there's thinkers.
Yep.
So it's knowing, I know having a, do you want a doer and a thinker or one or the other? Because those are things you have to really consider too, because you can't hire a thinker and their main thing is thinking, right? They can help you strategize, but
Mhm.
they may not necessarily be able to do those job tasks that you assign. Have you run into it to those things where somebody you're looking for a new person and you're believing that they can do all of the whole list, and you've run into where you know they
Yes.
honestly can't do everything that they said.
Yeah. No, it's true. And it's like you said, I'm not looking to duplicate myself, but I will delegate. And some business owners have problems delegating because they feel they have to do everything, and we would burn ourselves out really quickly if we just tried to do everything. So we do have to delegate, but I like to watch how the person I'm delegating to handles it. Are they a someone I can delegate to and they're just a doer and they just come back to me and say, okay, I did this? Or are they a delegate, someone who I could delegate to and they can take it to the next level? They own the assignment and they make it more. So
Yeah.
I'm paying closer attention to that now. I used to think everybody came into a position being a I'll do the job and I'll take it to the next level. No, that's what I'm learning. So I'm learning that's just not how. And some people will say that they're capable of doing something, but that's not their sweet spot. That's not what they do well. So what I've also learned is that be slow to hire and quick to fire.
Mm-hmm.
I hold on too
Yeah.
long.
Man, you need to say that again for the people in the back of the room. She said, "Be
Slow to
slow to
hire,
hire and
quick
quick
to
to fire."
yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That
because it
is
can cost you. It can cost
it
you, and
can
it's
cost
saying
you.
how much is it already costing you?
Mhm.
How
Yeah.
much has it already cost you to not really let that person go, and or bring on a person that you know you need to go ahead and make the sacrifice to bring the person on?
Mhm.
It could cost you financially, it could cost you in time, it can cost you even in your health, because that's you working longer hours because someone else should really be doing that job, and it's time for you to put delegate, as you were saying, Deborah. So I'm
Mhm.
loving this CEO chat and conversation, because it doesn't matter what you do. All of these things still apply.
Yes.
All of the rules still apply.
Yes. And
Yeah.
no one's gonna love your business the way you love your business. I just don't
Mhm.
think that's possible. It's you. So that so to find somebody who cares as much about what you're doing and your name and your brand, that's gonna be very hard. So there's definitely gonna be some stress on you to make sure all your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed. But realize that you have to be more responsible about the people you surround yourself with. So I've implemented now, I won't say but probationary periods where
Mm.
it's not just, oh, you got the job. It's like, all right, because everybody does great the first 3 months, but it's what happens afterwards. So I want to see consistency, just
Yeah,
like blog posts. Let's just like when you're doing your social media, consistency.
yeah. That's true. That is so true. I
Hmm.
I'm loving the conversation, because it needs to be had more often than not. And
Hmm.
sometimes it's when we think about it around you, when you think about the support, right? You have people that say that they love what you do, they love what you say, and all of that. But then if you really don't have people running alongside of you, having those people as a part to have the CEO conversation. People don't sometimes understand the highs and the lows and the woes of being, even though we celebrate it, and I wouldn't change a thing, right? I would still do what I'm doing. How is that? Have you had the opportunity to still have, even right now through this transition in your career, to have still have people around you to help have those conversations with?
I'm finding them. I'm finding pockets of them. I think that being an entrepreneur it's not for everybody, and people glamorize it, and there's a lot of there's a lot of down to it, but in the end, most of the entrepreneurs that I know have said they would keep doing it. But there's some real stuff that kicks in, and then you have to say, am I really made for this? So I am slowly finding my pocket, my tribe of entrepreneurs
Mhm,
who,
mhm.
yes, I am slowly finding them. And once you find them, you stick with them and you learn from them, and hopefully you grow with them from them. But you got to seek them out, seek your tribe out. And I like to say, I love to surround myself with people with big brains, because that's where I came from in
Yes,
broadcast. There are a lot of big brains, and it's just
yes.
information. They love it. They can do 10 million things at the same time well, and they're smart, and I like that. So yeah, I like to surround myself. I seek that out, and definitely when I find them, I stick with them.
This has been a great C-suite CEO chat conversation with Miss Deborah Mitchell. these are the conversations that you really do need to have. And I say it's like having that with you right now. And viewers get to listen in and lean in because you do have to find the people. It's
Mhm.
nice because having a good friend, having friends, but everybody may not be an entrepreneur, so they won't understand some of your concerns, some of your struggles, especially if they've never walked that path. And it can be lonely. It can be lonely, but it also can be very rewarding. I don't want to scare someone, but we do want you to hear the honest truth about it because it's not for the faint of heart. It is
That's
not for the
true.
faint of heart. And it's not for a person who want to see a quick return. It's thinking about when you some of the journeys and some of the paths that we choose being an entrepreneur, it is really for the long game. It's like
Mhm.
you're looking at in your business for the long game when you think about being talking about C-suite, right? And
Mhm.
the things that we get to do. I said we get to do it because God could have us to do and choose us to for anybody else other than us. So it's remembering that we get to do this. This is something that we made the decision, the choice, and the hope is that you're keeping yourself sharp in what you need to do, always getting more education, always increasing your skill set and your knowledge and your understanding of what
Mhm.
it is that we get to do in whatever your field might be. So, Ms.
Yes.
Deborah, before we get out here, is there anything else you want to say before we get out of this chat
Oh
today?
my gosh, I think you just captured it nicely in that little capsule. I will say though, it's important to take care of yourself because you can run yourself into the ground and your health could suffer. So definitely make time for yourself to breathe, to relax, to work yes, it can take up your entire life, but your entire days and nights, but definitely give yourself the grace to have some downtime for self-care. So that's how I'll wrap it up.
I love it. I love it. And y'all already know if anybody know about me, I'm definitely about making yourself a priority, never above your creator, but it has to be about who you in all that you do. I want to
Yeah.
thank you for joining me and the lovely Miss Deborah Mitchell on this episode of C-Suite, a CEO chat. And remember to do something today that your future self will thank you for. We will see you again for another episode of C-Suite. Bye for now.